Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Gamertag Radio.
All right, so once again, we're live here at the Grounded 2 experience in Los Angeles, and we have more from the team from Obsidian that worked on the game. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chris Parker. I am the game director on Grounded 2.
And hi, I'm Marcus Morgan. I'm the executive producer on Grounded 2.
Yeah, Marcus, I know we got to see each other back in summer, the Xbox Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So what is the things new that we're going to get to see in this event that was previously you guys presented at the first one? Do you remember?
What is new? Dang
is this the full game? Both was the full game?
So we showed a good amount of stuff in the first one. I would say the biggest new thing is you'll notice at the end of our trailer that kind of launched today, there's this mysterious stranger that kind of attacks the screen at the end. And so that's a really important component of the game that I'm really excited for fans to get their hands on. And there was none of that, we didn't show that at all with the announced show.
Speaking on that, is that part of the preview too? The game, the early access preview, or this is later in the game?
That will be part of the preview very late in the early access preview. And you'll just get a taste, and there will be a lot more to dig into with regards to that.
Yeah. Now, I know the first game, you guys worked on this smaller team, surprised everyone that it became a huge hit. This time, you guys are working now with another studio, working together on working on this. So, what are the things you guys have learned working on the game, just you guys, but now working with another studio now for Grounded 2?
And I'll talk for a little bit, then I'll pass it over to Chris to mix it up. But, one of the things with Grounded is it's always been a very community-centric development cycle for how we build kind of the game together. And now that we have this great partner at Eidos, it's really an extension of that with, just a professional version of the community. One of the things that drew us to Eidos in the first place was they were already fans of Grounded. They wanted to play Grounded. They had, beyond their incredible pedigree, beyond all the awesome games, beyond all the shared identities between us as Obsidian and Eidos, it was also that they loved the game of Grounded, and to get to work with them to help kind of realize more of the things we wanted, like buggies and a bigger park and all of the story elements that we wanted to. It's really just been great. It's been an extension of that kind of collaborative development process that it's been great to work on, and I'm glad to have them as part of the team.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add to that. I think we're very fortunate to have found them and been able to collaborate with them because, again, we do share such a pedigree. And as we started Grounded 2, we have a lot of ambitious plans, a lot of things that we wanted to do with making the park bigger, having buggies, doing stuff. And so we knew we wanted to grow the size of the team and grow the capacity of what we could actually do as we were making Grounded 2. And this was really the only good opportunity we felt that we were going to have it. And to have Eidos Montreal be such a great partner for us has been pretty amazing.
Was there anything that were like, hey, we should add this? Like the things that they came up with, or you guys were like, okay, this will be perfect for this.
Lots of things, but I mean, the one example that comes straight to the top of my head is the Omni tool. So, and to be perfectly honest, at Obsidian, we were like, I don't know if this makes the most sense when they first introduced it. But they were like, we think it would be a great idea to create a tool that can kind of do the chopping and the bashing and digging and have it all be one tool and take it out of your quick bar, free up the inventory space. But we could still have it upgrade over time. So you still have to use, different upgraded levels of this for different tiers of resources. Like this will all work. And we were a little skeptical about it, but they really championed it. And we said, okay, go for it, guys. And you know what? They prototyped it for a couple of months and we were like, you know what? This actually works pretty good, like right on. And there's been a ton of things like that. They're champions for all kinds of stuff in the park. But that's one that immediately comes to mind.
I would just at a high level, lots of folks have asked about just kind of that relationship and like, well, what share of what or who's in charge of what? And really, I think the other part that's kind of special is I don't think anyone thinks about it like it's our game together and collectively. And I kind of think about that with regards to the community as well. But in particular with Eidos too, is they definitely bring different perspectives. And it's nice to have an outside perspective because you can kind of sometimes get anchored into wanting to keep things the same that worked. And it's easier to push yourself when you have kind of co-development partners that are there to kind of call out like, well, what if we change this? And then we can kind of explore and go deeper on that. It's really been a really great collaborative partnership between the two of us.
Yeah, I know the characters, it's been 2 years, so the characters are going to be more, they learn a lot from the previous
For
game,
sure,
more
yeah.
confident, right? What about the insects? Are they also more confident against the kids?
What a setup question. I love this. Just tee it up for you. Absolutely. Like, we wanted to progress all aspects of it. And the 2 years later, maybe the teens are maturing, and I like this, the framing. The bugs are also maturing. So with some of the creatures now, we've added the ability to block, and they have like different blocks and different special attacks. And then we also added to the teens the ability to dodge. And so it creates this bit more of depth to combat and more of like Chris has coined this many a times, the rock, paper, scissors kind of moment where if the bug's now blocking, you have to use a heavy attack to kind of break through. You need to time out when your perfect blocks happen. Sometimes you need to dodge because you can't block in time. It creates a lot more robust of a combat dance. And so, the bugs and the creatures are a little more dangerous than last time. And the other piece I would say is they've had a bit of a glow up. Like we have touched every single creature in the game. We've made sure that they look like nicer and more foregrounded too. So both of those things, both the way they play and the way they look, have, gone through a little bit of iteration.
Yeah.
Sorry, I stole your magic probably.
Hey, you always steal my magic. It's totally okay. It's totally okay. As long as we have the magic, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, the other thing too is, of course we've got new insects and new things in the park to actually challenge the player. And we're also going to be continuing to introduce new variants and new versions of different bug families over the course of early access as well. So we've got a lot of plans for insects. We're pretty excited about it. And hopefully the community will dig it.
Yeah, I mean, the community also can send some feedback like, hey, you should add this insect, right?
Absolutely.
Because there was a lot of things that really surprised me about the first one. Like, oh man, the community came up with that, and you guys added in the game. So we're going to get to see more of that, right, for this one too?
Absolutely. You know what? The community is absolutely one of the most important things, one of the most successful things I think about Grounded 1, not just in terms of a positive and excited community that love the game, but the dev team's ability to interact with them and take all that feedback and process it and figure out ways to make the game better. And that is absolutely something we're doing with Grounded 2. Super excited about it. We definitely want the community to come out like they did before, tell us what they're thinking about the game, interact with us on Discord or whatever other social they might be using. We collect all that feedback. We process all the feedback. We look at it. We measure how well we think it is or when we can maybe fit it into to our schedules. And it's only going to make the game better, right? Like that's the whole reason for it. That's why we're behind it. And we're absolutely doing that again.
If I had a nickel for every time we say community over the course of this, like people might be pretty wealthy. But to Chris's point, like that, we look at everything. But the main place, if you do want to contribute, you do want to have a conversation with us, and I strongly encourage everyone to be a part of it, is go to our Discord, Grounded the Game, and that's where we're like really, really focused on that conversation. Chris had mentioned this earlier today. The other piece of it is the Grounded community is really, really a positive community. And in gaming, sometimes, it can get a little tough in the gaming community spheres. And it's a nice place to be. So if you are kind of interested and you're new, don't be afraid to join that too. Not just jump into the game, but it enhances the experience. Maybe you'll find some friends to play. You get some questions answered of like what's going on in the game. So we want to grow that and expand that and make people feel welcomed.
Yeah, I remember playing the first game, and I'm not really a builder. I'm more, craft, stuff like that, right? Combat. But I remember playing with randoms, and they were like very helpful. Like, okay, let's get the tools. So I totally agree with you. Like the community is a very different vibe than any other game that I played before. So that's very true. Yeah. Now, I know this is a preview game. So when people hear preview, early access, oh man, it's not that big. How big is it compared, like the type of content we get to see compared to like the first game?
This is always such an interesting question. So like map size wise, we'll start with that. Map size wise, what we're launching with Grounded 2 in early access and game preview, the size and square footage is about the same as the entirety of Grounded 1.0. So it's a pretty meaningful amount of map and content. I would say, it's always tough because depending on how good or bad you are at the game, it could be tough with like hours of time. But we tried to make sure that, our mantra this time around was, hey, if people showed up and they just show up for game preview or early access launch, we hope that they walk away satisfied with like what feels like a complete experience. And so That has to do with the amount of content, that has to do with the amount of story that they get, the features, and all that sort of thing. So that's our hope and that's our goal, but that's the square footage to give you kind of a take.
Well said.
Yeah. Want to add one?
Yeah, I'll just lean into some of the things you said, and there really wasn't any story at all in Grounded 1 at the initial launch and early access, and the majority of the story was actually added all the way at 1.0. And so, in order to sort of complete that game experience that we wanted to have, we knew we wanted to have a pretty significant chunk of story in the first early access release that we're looking at right now. And so, we have a lot of NPCs, we've got a lot of story, we've got a ton of VO and stuff that we've put into the game. We have essentially the entire Act 1 arc in there for the story. There'll be a lot more added to this later, and there'll be more depth added into the world. And of course, as we're going through early access, we'll be seeding various storylines and stuff like that. But there's a lot more significant story in the world at the game preview launch.
What are the things that you guys have learned working on this game that, compared to like the first one, that maybe a community discovered, or maybe feedback from Eidos Montreal, or the team of Obsidian too? Or was there anything you guys have learned while working on?
In the midst of working on Grounded?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's been some very interesting balance challenges for us. I think a really important thing about survival games is that they are sort of like brutally challenging, but also rewarding at the same time, because you have to, figure out how to eat and build and craft armor and do all this stuff. And at the same time, like, combat can sometimes be really challenging, and figuring that out can be a real, then we went and added buggies into the mix. And so instead of maybe even just having one player playing by themselves or 4 cooperative players, now we have 1 player plus a buggy, or maybe 4 players plus 4 buggies. And that challenge and that balance has been a real delicate dance for us in terms of figuring out, how do we keep that fun? How do we keep it sort of brutally challenging but rewarding? That is something that we're continuing to work on. We're continuing to learn from. We're continuing to experiment on, and I think we're going to continue to be working on that. Do you have other learnings, Mark?
We're learning something every day. But I think one of the things that just as you were talking, I was thinking about, just I got enough time to think about a response of, one of the most important parts of the game are creatures, like adding new bugs, new creatures to the game. And with Grounded 1 being a much smaller team, it's really hard just to art all those creatures, right? Add animations, and so that makes it harder to just add creatures. Being able to partner with Eidos, we kind of solved a lot of that problem around having enough animators, having enough character artists, having enough of those art resources. And we were starting to really cook on making more new creatures. But then what kind of got uncovered was now it's the survival part that we have to balance out more. And now that's our new bottleneck. So how do we work around okay, well, how does that change the economy in the game? What resources do you get from it? How much do you get? What does that then let you build, whether it's weapons or armor or gear? And so what I found interesting is always, and this is stuff that feels obvious in retrospect, but what was a problem before based off of our team size, the new kind of challenges emerge and exist as you solve one. And it's just an interesting, as I was thinking through that used to be such a hard thing. And it's now we could pump out a bunch of different creatures, but the hard part is how do we make sure they feel properly integrated? And it's just a fun new problem to solve, but that's the maybe a learning for me that's top of mind right now that emerged.
Yeah. Sometimes when I play solo, it gets a little bit difficult for me, to start crafting a lot and building. Yeah. I prefer to play with a group, right? But what about those that like to play solo? So how do you guys keep them that balance of to make it easier for them to build, to craft, that balance, right?
Part of it, buggies should also help with that experience, right? So now, if you can put the time in to go get buggies, it'll help kind of with your survivability when you're trying to go out and find things. Red soldier ants, for example, they can carry more grass blades, so you can build a little bit more efficiently. You can traverse the world a lot faster. So our hope is that in addition to buggies just being fun for co-op play, that adds to that experience as well. Also, we designed the game to try to scale appropriately. It doesn't quite help in terms of building a bunch of stuff, but we do have some ideas in the future. And I will watch over there because I'm my control. We do have some ideas in the future for how to improve the efficiency of getting resources and maybe using buggies to help with that. So we have some plans in the future, but I do think at a baseline, buggies will help in terms of you surviving and exploring and just being able to aggregate enough resources without like losing your backpack and having to go pick it up way across the park.
Yeah, the other really cool part about buggies that helps, particularly in single player, is that they're essentially like they're like a companion for you. It's not just as a creature that you can ride from A to B or that can carry more stuff for you. You can fight while you're mounted on them, which can, depending on who you're fighting, increase your survivability. Or sometimes it makes more sense to hop off of them and have them fight next to you, which basically is like kind of being a companion character from a typical role-playing game, somebody that can sort of adventure with you when you're playing by yourself, which is actually super cool.
I know the first game, it was under early access almost 2 years, I believe, right? Yeah. So when is you guys are like, okay, this is the full game. I think this is the full game. Is that based on time, based on the amount of content from feedback from the community? Like, how do you guys decide when is the right time to make this as the full game?
Yeah, I mean, we always have plans, but I think the most important thing is when is that experience complete? So we have this park. We know roughly how big the park is. There's square footage that we need to add in and different biomes and different challenges that we know are going to fill out these areas that aren't done yet. But even more important than that is, we have this story arc. We know how we want the story to go. We know the story we want to tell. We know what all the characters in that story are. And until we can deliver that experience, that narrative experience that's backed up by this park and all the creatures and challenges in it, we just won't be ready to ship it yet.
Yeah, I think there's a delicate balance of, we have a plan. That plan is probably based off of what kind of Grounded One did, but something's gonna happen, right? Like we'll get some awesome community idea that we have to put in, and we'll see, and we'll kind of explore from there. But we do have a plan. We know where we want to end. But I think the beauty of early access and like why we went back to it again was when you saw where we are with Grounded One at the beginning of game preview and early access, and then where it ended at 1.0. It's a massive difference, and you don't know when that is. Like, oh, yep, we did it and we're done, but we at least have that to kind of go off of, like, okay, we got to have that level of feeling from the start to the end to really know that we did this game justice.
No, I remember seeing like first update, it was like a lot of content. Just every time there was a new update, it was like a lot of stuff. So I can't wait to see from now all the way to.
Come on, you're putting this pressure on us. I mean, we're barely out the gate, and it's already like, what's the next update? No, but it's totally good. Yeah. We totally understand that, and that's what I kind of talked about a little bit. The accountability piece. It's helpful. It helps like raise our ability to deliver.
Okay, you guys don't have to answer this or not. It's up to you. So I remember the first game was on the original Switch, I believe. The first game.
Yeah. Yes. No, that's right.
I could see this on the Switch too, man. I could see this playing on the go. I know you guys could play it on Steam Deck and ROG Ally, right? You could play that, right? Is there any potential of having this on other devices like that?
Look,
if you're allowed to talk about it.
You know we can, but that's cool. I appreciate the question. What I would say though is like, look, we want as many people to be able to play our games as possible always. Sure. We brought Grounded One to all these different platforms. We'll see what happens in the future.
That's the perfect answer right there, man. I just want to say, man, congrats. I can't wait to play this game right now, soon, right? So
yeah.
Next
July 29th, early access game preview. Yeah. I hope a bunch of people join.
Yeah.
We're so excited for y'all. So nervous to see what y'all have to say too.
Oh my God.
But I'm so excited for y'all to join.
You guys are so nervous, man, because I feel like the game looks good. Like it seems like you guys got it got it pretty good, man. You seem very confident too at Summer Game.
I am. I'm very proud and I'm very confident. And also, you just never know. Like making games, people say it all the time. Making games is hard. But I think part of it is Grounded One is so special to so many people that there's a pressure on us to make sure we deliver that same level of experience for folks again. And I think that's really a part of it. It's just kind of this feeling of responsibility to make sure we keep doing it justice. We keep doing right by the fans. We keep doing right by what we can do as a team. And so that's why.
I'll tell you this, as a person that played the game at events, I think it still has that magic. So I think you guys are going to be fine. It's a great game.
Thank you.
Cautiously optimistic.
It's all good.
Cautiously optimistic.
It's all good. Well, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
No problem.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, so we're live here at the Grounded 2 experience in Los Angeles, and I have friends here that work on the game. So please produce yourself.
Of course. My name is Miles Winsler. I'm a producer on Grounded 2 over at Obsidian.
I'm Eric Dorbella, the senior community manager at Obsidian.
Awesome. I know you guys worked on the first. Were you a part of the first game too?
Very tail end, yeah.
Yeah. So, how's it been the process of working on the first game and now the second game now? But also with another team too is also part of it too, right? Eidos Montreal.
Eidos Montreal, yeah. They're also working on, they're co-deving with us for Grounded 2. It's been amazing because I was on the first game and it's just pretty incredible to make a sequel. Just like more story to tell, more features to put in, especially like we got a lot of feedback from the community of things that we couldn't fit in the first game due to the older generation consoles. And then so now we can do that with Grounded 2. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And I know this game is also going to be a preview, right? So why you guys managed to do that for this game and similar to like the first one, having that preview for the community?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think game preview, early access works so good for Grounded, helped it find its identity, find out what people love about it, and really kind of push on that experiment. And so I think Grounded 2, we genuinely wanted the same thing to happen here. Obviously a slightly different kind of puzzle in terms of we know the characters, we know the kind of core mechanics, we know what people like about it. So whereas Grounded 1's early access was like looking to find the identity of this project and really lean into its strengths, 2 is a good mix of kind of iterating on those strengths and also kind of finding a new identity, new things that people want to get into and finding ways to expand it. So kind of the same approach of like wanting early access to be community first and really get a feel for how to polish this, but also, the new wrinkle of this being an established piece.
Yeah, I remember playing the first one. There was not a lot of content at first. Then after, there were like so many things to do in the game. Is it going to be something similar with this one, or is it going to be a lot more stuff to do in this one compared to like the first one too?
Yeah, I think kind of going that same kind of comment. It's just there's things that we know people like, and we don't want to mess those up. We want to complement them with new features and find meaningful ways to kind of progress them too. So very different in terms of, Grounded 1's early access. You could kind of run around to areas that were completely under construction still. Grounded 2, it's a little more deliberate, these kind of slices of the park, and I get to know them a little more that way, push out from there. So definitely kind of feels like a cohesive kind of first chunk with a kind of beginning, middle, and end. Where we go from there, we can kind of go based on community feedback.
And so story-wise, how long it takes like from the first one to this one? Like, is there a couple years, couple months?
Yeah, no, it's 2 years later. This is a world where everything that happened in Grounded 1, became public. So we're seeing 2 years later sort of what the effects of this are. This technology has been out there in the public eye. Omnit's kind of been forced to kind of talk through the things they did. And we had a lot of fun kind of looking at where they are now. We have a launch trailer that features the new spokesperson for Omnit and kind of looking at like, how do you course correct from that being something that was like, a massive scandal, essentially. But it was fun still, sticking with the same characters as well. Once people have kind of gotten their love for them and understand who they are. Yeah.
For you, checking out like community feedback, what is it, the things that you like to see from the community to help out make the game even better that you learned from the previous game too?
Yes. So there was a lot of things we weren't able to do in the first game, but we could do here. Like buggies, for example, was a huge community request. They wanted to tame bugs. And so that now we can give that to the players in Grounded 2. They can ride them. They actually help you, like the Red Ant helps you build a base. The Orb Weaver's good for combat. So those are the first two buggies you want to focus on and get more feedback. So that's like the feedback we want to get from the community is how the buggies feel, because the game is so much bigger, we want to see how traversal it is, especially with the buggies.
What are the things that surprise you the most from the community feedback?
So right now it's mostly community speculation because the game's not out yet.
I'm talking from the previous game. Yeah.
I think that one of the funniest things is how much more spiders the community want in the game. They want the fear. I don't know. It's like so we try our best to add as many spiders as we can, but there's a balance to having a bunch of diversity in the game.
I know there was also people that are afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
So how was that learning that process too? Of people that are just afraid of insects, spiders, and so on.
It definitely opened a lot of doors. I think we knew with the research, the user research team from Xbox help us. This is how many people who are interested in your game are actually have arachnophobia. So having that filter in helped a lot. But we also got a lot of fun stories from people overcoming their fear just through exposure from the game. So it's super awesome, fun stories like that.
Yeah. And how's it been the process working with another studio, working together on this project?
Yeah, no, it's been super cool. Yeah, it's another element that we can use to kind of bring fresh ideas to the project. One thing I often kind of think about as we kind of talk ideas through is, Eidos themselves all played Grounded 1 and we're big fans of it, and the leads are like basically a part of that community. Yeah, they're professional game developers, but they're part of that community, so it's kind of taking that community feedback to a new level. But no, it's been really cool because they've got their own strengths. We have a lot of shared DNA in terms of like the things we prioritize as studios. But there's certain things that they're just like they hit naturally and really shine with.
Well, what is for you? What are the things that you like the most on working on this project for you as a fan?
Yeah, I think that element of taking something that's already known and kind of walking that line of making sure you kind of keep those fun things and find new ways to kind of challenge it too, especially with the characters and everything on narrative, how these characters changed in the last 2 years. But no, even beyond that, looking at sort of, buggies coming off of everyone's love of pets, like, hey, what are like the meaningful ways we can kind of make this different and how can we kind of go from there? And I think we have a good slice of what buggies are, at least on the base level. What's launching on July 29th, but we're super excited to get community feedback and take it to new places and add that complexity to it too.
What are the new things that we're going to see in this game with characters, weapons, crafting?
Yeah, for sure. I think one is like on the weapons and crafting gear side, we've got this soft archetype system in there now. Grounded. I love hearing everyone's builds they have that do all sorts of wild things, whether it's like at the full on maxed out aphid speed, aphid pet, aphid slivers, but also the ones that are a little more mix and match. So this like soft archetype system tries to keep that same concept in mind of not, locking you into like, I have to commit to this path now. I can find new ways to like incorporate ranged combat into my usual kind of build and kit and stuff like that. So that's been a fun one to play with, and again, looking forward to seeing kind of which direction we build that upward in future updates based on how people are feeling it. So,
yeah. What about the characters? Is there anything new that we're gonna get to see from them too?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, 2 years later, new designs, lots of conversations about current events, what's happened in between, what happened 2 years prior. But yeah, I think some new dynamics there too, just like you can kind of infer what happened in the last 2 years. They're always funny in the first place. And even though the story is a very dark one on paper, you take the literal events down, it's always kind of like pushing through it with humor and finding a way to kind of keep that consistent was a big part of the character work too.
I remember when the first game came out, I was very surprised how big the game became. Like a lot of people were just love playing with others, discovering stuff, crafting stuff, right? What are the things that surprised you guys the most on like people discovering things in the game or like crafting or something that stood out to you guys as a team?
Yeah, I think one of the most surprising thing is how talented and creative our community is. We give them these set of tools to play with and they do something outside of what we thought they were going to do and really blow us away. Especially with like, we have a lot of prolific builders, so there's these massive, giant buildings. And then for Grounded 1, Playgrounds was a big addition added to the game where players can essentially make their own games within Grounded. And just seeing what they're capable with just Playgrounds alone of creating mini games, their own stories, like tycoon type games, is pretty awesome.
Yeah. See, for me as a player, I'm not really good at building. I'm really good with crafting and just trying to, defend myself against enemies, stuff like that, right? So for those that are not good at building like that, is there anything that we're going to see in the game that's going to be a lot easier for people to, easier for them to start building certain things in the area of the game, anything like that? Or is it going to be similar to the first one where it's like, look, this is the tools, go for it, so.
Yeah, you want to talk about that, Miles?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, like, hey, one thing that goes right into that off the bat is buggies. The first one you get in the game is the Red Soldier Ant, and they're kind of an all-rounder, but their specialty often revolves around like resource gathering and building. And so as someone that doesn't have the sort of artistic expertise to make a beautiful base, but wants like the efficient facilities and production and stuff like that, I find the buggies kind of help streamline that in terms of getting things up and running faster. And also just like and small things too of like letting me to kind of have a buggy take my aggro while I go gather these resources. So definitely some new opportunities if you found like the combat inaccessible when you're just trying to build. You have your buggy to kind of create some new strategies around too. So I think that's a big one there. Anything else you can think of off the top of the head?
I think too, with the buggies, they also assist you in combat. So either you're playing with solo or playing with friends, you have more firepower with either the red ant buggy or the orb weaver buggy.
See, I know the game takes place in the 90s. How old are you? Were you around?
32.
32, okay. Yeah. So the 90s to me was like my favorite era. What was it that to you guys as a team, like, oh, we got to stick with the 90s? Like, what is it that stood out to you about the 90s that is perfect for this game, story-wise?
I think it's the mix and hit with nostalgia. No, I grew up in the 90s. I'm a bit older than Miles, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's definitely that nostalgia hit. But again, the story taking place 2 years after, so it's just like the perfect time frame. It's just the way how the dates of when the first game took place that leads into this Grounded 2. And I think a lot of people at the studio are very nostalgic about that era. So I think it's a lot of fun to revisit. And it kind of unlocks a lot of childhood memories. You know?
Yeah, right. Like it reminds me a little bit of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Goonies, I know it was 80s, but it still has that vibe of that too, right? So
yeah, Goonies.
Yes, it's cool, man. Yeah, I when I heard that, even playing the first game, like, oh, it takes place in the 90s, like, oh, perfect, man. This is like my era, So it's pretty cool that you guys stick with this for this game too, man. So now, one of my last questions is your favorite character. Who's like the one to go for you? First pick, favorite character.
First pick? For me, I relate to Peep and Hoops, but definitely Hoops.
Why Hoops?
So Hoops Vietnamese, I'm half Vietnamese, so I relate to her a lot. And then when I was a kid, I played a ton of basketball. I wasn't good at it, but
you tried.
So I relate mostly to Hoops.
Yeah. And you?
Oh man, I think Grounded 1. I was always Willow. I still love Willow. She's great, just in terms of being like the ones thinking kind of philosophically about these wild things that are happening to them in a really surreal way. But I really enjoyed how everyone kind of got aged up, little changes to their personality and stuff as well. And that full voice cast is like they bring so much to those characters too. So yeah, I go Willow first, but man, I think Max has got some of my favorite lines in Grounded 2.
You know what? I just realized too, like you said, it's 2 years later. So now in this same character as from the first game, there's a lot that they've learned from the previously now. Like what is the thing, like personality wise, how much the characters has changed from the first game and this now, story wise?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite kind of changes is like Hoops is a lot more confident, a lot more aggressive. She's the team captain, super competitive. So she's got like almost a bloodthirsty streak to her, just in terms of like being that like ferocious, high energy person. So people are kind of settling into their own a little bit more, right? And like, I wouldn't say like outright like a cooler guy, but he's like super like down to earth, and like obviously the friendship he's had with the rest of the cast in those 2 years has kind of helped mold his personality too.
Awesome. You know what? It's very distracting in the background. I seen that nighttime, daytime. It's pretty cool. I just love the setup. I was telling my co-host Paris, I was like, this is the perfect venue to promote Grounded 2. The huge, humongous screen, everything. I think this is really cool, man, seeing this, man. And plus, the experience overall has been amazing. Hang out with people here and talking about the game and everything. So, congrats to you guys. I can't wait to officially play the game with other people now once the game is out there. So, official release date and also platforms for people to check out the game.
Of course, July 29th, coming to Game Preview, Early Access, Xbox Series X, S, and then, of course, Steam.
Awesome. But thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.